Estamos acá con Emily Short, especialista en narración interactiva, conocida por su videojuego Galatea, que es una interacción con una obra de arte. First of all, I wanted to ask you, how did you become Emily Short?
I became really interested in interactive fiction and text adventures as a child. I played a lot of them, and then when I was a bit older in graduate school, I started writing some of my own, and that just kind of led into the whole rest of my career.
So you're actually a programmer?
I program a bit. I know many people who are much better programmers than I am, but I do write some, yeah. Sometimes I code my own things, sometimes I'm working with other coders, but then a large part of what I do is actually about the design of the gameplay that links together the story and what the player is doing. So sometimes people will bring me to a project and say, we've got this gameplay, what would be a good story around that? Sometimes it's, we've got this story, but we don't know like how to make it interactive in a compelling way. So I've like helped people go both of those directions.
Why do you think you're here at MICA?
Well, they asked me to come and talk about AI. So I'm working right now at a startup called Spirit AI. And we do middleware that actually creates conversations for NPCs, so tracking what's emotional state, what does the character know, what are they trying to get out of you, all of those kinds of things to make them more dynamic than a dialogue tree. So sometimes I talk about kind of that product and then also more generally like what I see happening with AI developments in that space and storytelling, what it can do kind of expanded by the machine.
So it's not actually about game development, it's about game culture then?
Well, I mean, there's the technology comes very strongly into game development, so it's not just the surrounding culture, but you know, how do we actually make use of the technology that exists now? It opens up a lot of new possibilities, but also new design challenges.
What would you say makes a good character in writing terms?
Well, I like characters that have a dimensionality to them where, you know, you can see that they want certain things, but they're not just as simple as, you know, this is a straight villain or this is a straight hero. And so there are a lot of different ways of getting at that. So conventional, you know, writing and film have the different sort of ways of hinting at the subtleties of a character, and that can come through differently in games because there are lots of ways for us to let the player actually explore how they're interacting with somebody.
What do you expect to find here in Argentina?
I'm really interested in kind of seeing what is going on with, you know, both the kind of growth of studios and the game culture, like the sort of development side, and what the sort of areas of particular interest are that maybe are, you know, things that people are thinking about or exploring artistically that are dissimilar.
What do you think about video games communities being rather toxic lately?
Yeah, no, that's not a good thing. So, I mean, I have a couple of sort of different angles on this. One is that the company that I work with actually is doing two products, and the other one is about kind of community monitoring and chat and kind of keeping an eye on how are people interacting and how do we discover people who are making the experience less good for everybody, and help companies kind of eliminate that, but also potentially like discover who are the people that are being helpful. Like any community tends to have some people who are like the person who helps the newbies or, you know, sort of connects people up. So it's good to like acknowledge the positive side of that as well. So having better tools for looking into that is important. So there's that kind of like technological side of the solution.
You were working on Spirit AI. What do you want to get out of that?
Well, I mean, the bold and scary answer is I'd really like to change the game industry, and not like, you know, completely revolutionize everything, but in the sense of there are a lot of games that could be written that currently are not, and I'm thinking of things that explore some of the territory of conventional drama, things that get more into relationships and interpersonal stories and those kinds of things, where both their technology and our design ability has really lagged behind, you know, and so it's partly like, it's not that I'm trying to rid the world of shooters, but I just want there to be more other things, and I think there's room for more other things, and I've seen some really amazing work done in the indie space, but kind of taking those indie experiments and making them scalable and saying like, here is what you need as a large company to be able to safely roll out something like this.
Esto fue Emily Short para Pressover. Muchísimas gracias, Emily.